So I lived in a haunted house for 4 years. Seriously, there were things that happened in that house that I will never forget. Now, some of this is going to be hard to believe, but it happened. Now, as we progress through the series, I'm going to do my best to explain to you what I believe was happening, and more importantly, how I dealt with it. So if this is right up your alley, get ready, because it's about to get weird.
Episode 1, The Man in the Room.
So I was 21 years old when I bought this house. Now, when I first moved in, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Now, I'm sure we've all had weird experiences. We've heard bangs and clicks, and maybe you've heard somebody say your name when nobody was at home. Spencer? Spencer! What? Sweetie, the clock just fell off the wall. The nail fell out. No, sweetie, it's more than that. I think it's Granny May. I think she's trying to communicate with us. I'm holding it right now. Don't you dare patronize me. We've all seen those ghost hunting TV shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, nothing can prepare you for what you are about to witness here today.
Yeah. Wait, is that it? I think I saw it. Yeah. It's dust. It is literally dust floating around. I mean, it's a 100-year-old house. There's crap. And if you've been fortunate enough, you've seen one of these paranormal investigation interviews that comes on at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mr. Frederick, sir, we just want you to know how much we appreciate you allowing us to come into your home today and ask you a few questions about your experience.
Yes, sir, absolutely. But my name is not Mr. Frederick. That's my daddy's name. You can call me D. Wayne.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay, son. You didn't know.
Okay, why don't you just tell us what happened?
Why? You ain't gonna believe me.
Well, sir, we're actually paranormal investigators. This is what we do.
There I was sitting on my couch eating biscuits and gravy watching Gunsmoke. Then it happened. I had a glass of Pepsi sitting on my end table right next to me. Next thing you know, the daggone thing goes flying across the room 100 miles an hour. Hits the wall. Now, at first I was ticked. I thought it was my cousin Jimmy playing one of them pranks. Then I remembered, heck, Jimmy died 10 years ago, fell out of a tree stand, 12 stories. I always wondered what he was doing up that high. What the heck was he hunting, pterodactyls? But then it dawned on me. You know what it actually was? It's one of them poltergeists. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They just come in your house, roam around the halls, kick up their feet, act like they own the place. Ridiculous. Now, I know what you're going to say. Why didn't you just have one of them there priest guys come in, say their fancy words, and make them skedaddle? Why? It ain't going to work. They're just going to keep coming back. It's just like them poltergeist movies. Why do you think they keep making so many sequels? Think about it. Good grief, use your brain for once. Heck, it ain't like they could keep them out. They could go through walls. It ain't like I could do anything about it. What am I going to do, punch them in the face? That ain't going to work. They're intangible, for Pete's sake. Where do they find you guys? Hey, I forgot to ask, am I going to get paid for this? Yeah, we'll talk about it. Just so you know, I got one of those things you can put on your phone. You know, you swipe that credit card. You know, just in case you forgot your checkbook. I'm not thinking of me. I'm thinking about you guys.
So, what'd you end up doing?
Heck, the only thing I could do, I bargained with them. I had this bravery come up my heart, and I said, hey, ghost, listen up. This is my house. But I'll make a deal with you. You can stay under one condition. You got to stop breaking my Pepsi glasses. Those things are collectibles. They're going to be worth money someday. That and my Beanie Baby collection. It's part of my retirement plan. You're laughing now, but one of these days, those things are going to go up in value, and this guy is going to be laughing all the way to the bank. Stupid ghost. You know what? This interview's over. You leave my Beanie Babies out of this. Yeah, that's basically how they went. So again, we've had these experiences. We've heard some bangs and clicks, but let me tell you something. What I experienced in that house was nothing like that. It was much worse. It was absolutely terrifying. So it all started, I was sitting in this living room. I hadn't been in the house very long, a couple of weeks, and I'd heard some weird sounds. But you can write off most things as maybe pipes clicking, or, you know, maybe a animal under your house or something. I'm sitting there in the living room, and I have the middle bedroom right behind me. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching TV, and more than likely I was watching like infomercials and eating chicken fingers or something. And then I hear it. Man, it was weird. And of course I do the whole reasoning thing. Pretty sure that came from outside, even though the outside was over here and the sound came from back here. But, you know, trying to make sense of it. So I go back to watching TV and eating my chicken. And I just, kind of write it off. I'm like, okay, that was strange, but, whatever. Now keep in mind, I had experienced things before. I'd been to some haunted cemeteries and some haunted churches and stuff like that. And I'd seen a few bizarre things. Things that basically make you go, that was weird. So I was somewhat prepared for what was happening. Somewhat. So after a few minutes of sitting there watching TV again, I hear, I jumped off that couch so fast. I'm literally standing there. What the heck was that? Now, it took me a little bit to get the bravery to come up in my heart, kind of like Dwayne. I'm not as brave as he is. But eventually, I walked through the living room, went through the dining room, through the kitchen, and I walked up to that bedroom. I grabbed that door handle, and I slowly opened the door, and I turned the light on. And guess what? There was nothing there. I walk around the room, I'm looking around, I open that closet door, nothing there. But of course, I had to test it out. I stood there for a second, and then I had to slam the door. Yep, that's what it sounded like. So I go back in the living room. I'm totally freaked out now. Eventually, I got calmed down and I went to sleep. Well, the next day, my cousin comes over. He lived right next door to me. And we're sitting there just chatting, and I'm like, hey, can you do me a favor? Yeah, sure. Can you go in the middle bedroom there and open the closet and then slam the closet? Why? Now, he'd been living next door. His family came over and took care of the lady that lived there before. So they were aware of some of the bizarre stuff that happened in that house. I don't think anything this weird happened. I could be wrong. But that's where I first heard the stories that the house was haunted. Now, most people would steer clear from a house like this. Not me, because I'm me, I guess. I don't know. So he goes in the back room. He opens the closet door, and he slams the closet door. Yeah, that was it. That's what I heard. So, of course, I asked him, hey, man, you want to stay here tonight? Now, of course, it took him a few days to get brave enough to stay with me, but eventually he did. So there we are, about 1 o'clock in the morning, just talking, living our best life. And then, now, of course, we're staring at each other. And what does he say? I'm pretty sure that came from outside. That's what I said too, but here's the thing. Came from back there. The outside's over there. So, of course, we're just sitting there. We try to get back into our normal conversation. And then, what the heck? What was that? What was it? That seriously came from the other room. That came from the other room. Bro, I told you, man. I told you. Hey, why don't you go check it out? No, you're out of your mind. I'm getting out of this house. You need to leave too. I can't leave. I bought this house. I'm committed. Now, eventually, we both went in the room, turned the lights on, looked around. Nothing was there. But needless to say, he didn't stay there that night. I really don't think he stayed there much at all the entire time I lived there. So I get to a point where I'm determined. I'm ready to catch this thing. But as time went on, nothing really happened. Same old normal sounds. But then one night it happened again. I took off running. I ran through that living room. I spun around the dining room, grabbed the door frame that way you can keep your speed up. I run through the kitchen. I grab that doorknob, and I'm not kidding you. As I'm turning the doorknob, I hear it. And I am so ticked at this point. I'm like, come on, I was right there. I was right there. Now, at this point, I started getting frustrated. I'm like, I'm going to catch this thing. So I decided to keep the door open. I'm sitting there in the doorway from my living room, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the sound. The door is open. All I got to do is run straight, flick the light on. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. And I'm like, come on, you stupid ghost. Come on, do something. Night after night, nothing happens. So I get this bright idea. Hey, I'm going to start sleeping in the room. I could already hear you. What? No, what? Why would you do that? That's a good question. At the time, it seemed like a really good idea, but as you're going to hear later on in the stories, it was not a good idea. Hey, speaking of that, if you're enjoying this, if you would like the video, subscribe. There is plenty more coming. So I'll wait a couple days, nothing happens, right? So now I'm sleeping in the room. Now I'm too scared to turn the light off, of course. So I'm sitting there, lights on. I can't sleep good with the lights on. It's got to be pitch black. And I'm just sitting there with a blanket over my face, and I just keep peeking over at the closet, waiting for something to happen. And of course, a couple nights goes by and nothing does. Now, this was a really old house, and it did not cool down well. And I had like one humongous air conditioner in the window that did not cool the whole house. So I slept in the living room at the time. So I'd been in that hot bedroom for nights with the light on. I couldn't sleep, so I just went back in the living room. Now, at this point, I'm getting frustrated. I'm just over it. I don't care anymore. So I'm hearing the bangs, and I'm hearing the noises, and I'm laying in there on that couch. I don't hair. So we start reaching the fall, and I'm ready to sleep in a bed. Like, I got a house now. I want to sleep in the bed. So when you came out of the living room, that you went left to the middle bedroom through the kitchen. If you went right, there was a second bedroom, but it was really small, so I used it as storage. And then if you went straight was another bedroom that had a little bathroom attached to it. Eventually, I moved into that bedroom so I could sleep in a bed. So I'm laying in there one night, and I'm reading a book. And then I heard something that sent chills down my spine. I'm laying there reading, and I hear something that sounds a little bit like this. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that kind of sounded like a door handle. That's what I thought too. I am petrified at this point. I can't move. I'm so scared. Now, I just thought maybe somebody came into my house, which is scary enough as it is. But then I'm also thinking, okay, that could not be a real person. And this is where it gets really scary. In my kitchen, right in the middle of the floor, is the biggest, loudest creak you've ever heard. It sounded a little bit like this. Yeah, I'm laying there and I hear this creak. I'm so scared I can't move. And I literally think to myself, I think he just left the room. Has anything like this ever happened to you before? Well, if so, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And do you know anybody else who would like to hear this story or maybe has their own story? If you would, share it with them. I'd love to hear their story too. And of course, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I got a lot more coming. And trust me, it just gets weirder. I'll see you next time.